Hey there, coin collectors and enthusiasts! Do you want to learn about a rare and valuable penny that could be sitting in your collection right now? Well, today we're diving into a fascinating piece of US coinage, the 1952 Lincoln penny. You may have one stashed in your collection, and it could be worth thousands, even more. Stick around, and let's uncover what makes this penny so valuable, and why it's a must-know for any serious coin collector. The 1952 Lincoln penny was struck in the San Francisco Mint, as denoted by its S Mint mark. But before we dive into the specifics, let's take a moment to appreciate the history behind the famous Lincoln penny itself. First minted in 1909, the Lincoln penny was designed by Victor David Brenner, featuring the profile of President Abraham Lincoln. This penny marked a significant departure from the previous designs, which were all about iconic figures like Lady Liberty. With Lincoln's face now on the front, it represented the growing respect for his leadership and legacy. Fast forward to 1952, and the United States was enjoying a period of economic growth and recovery after World War II. This was the era of the post-war boom, and coins from this time were produced in large quantities. But what makes the 1952 Lincoln penny unique is its specific characteristics. So, what does the 1952 Lincoln penny look like? Well, just like any other Lincoln penny, it features President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, the front, facing to the right. But on the reverse, the back, you'll see the familiar image of the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of the great nation he helped shape. The 1952 penny is made from 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, standard for the era. The design is sharp, with Lincoln's image rendered in fine detail, and the reverse showing the Lincoln Memorial in all its grandeur. But what truly sets the 1952 apart is its rarity, specifically, how few of these coins are in exceptional condition. Now, let's talk about something that can significantly influence the value of this coin: errors and varieties. The 1952 Lincoln penny isn't known for having a lot of significant errors, but there are some factors that can make a specific penny worth a lot more. One of the most common errors you might find in the 1952 is a double die or off-center strike. If your penny shows a noticeable double image of Lincoln's portrait, or even the date, then you might have a rare variant that's worth much more than face value. Other errors include things like die cracks or rim issues, which can also make a coin more collectible. The rarer and more noticeable the error, the higher the price. So, always check your coins closely. What might look like a simple flaw to some can actually be a hidden treasure. Now let's talk about the mint mark. The Mint mark on the 1952 Lincoln penny indicates that this coin was struck at the San Francisco Mint, one of the most famous mints in the United States. While most pennies from 1952 were produced at the Philadelphia Mint, the San Francisco mintage was smaller, making the 1952 slightly harder to find. This gives the 1952 an edge over other Lincoln pennies from that year in terms of rarity. However, rarity alone doesn't determine its value. It also comes down to the coin's condition. A penny in uncirculated condition, meaning it has never been in circulation and shows no signs of wear, is where the real money is. So, how much is the 1952 Lincoln penny worth? Well, let's break it down. A regular circulated 1952 penny, one that's been used in everyday transactions, typically sells for just a few cents above face value. But if you happen to find one in mint state or uncirculated condition, the value can increase significantly. A high-grade 1952 penny can be worth anywhere from $10 to $50, depending on its condition. However, the true jackpot comes if your coin has any kind of error or is in pristine uncirculated condition. Some of these rare specimens can fetch over $200 or more, especially if there's an interesting variety or error involved. So, even though the 1952 Lincoln penny isn't necessarily one of the rarest of the Lincoln pennies, its rarity, condition, and potential for error variations make it an exciting coin for collectors. Well, there you have it! The 1952 Lincoln penny is definitely a coin you want to keep an eye out for, whether you already have one in your collection or you're planning to start hunting for it. And remember, condition is key. Always check for those rare errors that could make your coin worth far more than just a penny. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1952 Lincoln penny, make sure to hit that like button, leave a comment below, and subscribe for more awesome coin info like this. Don't forget to ring that bell so you never miss an update. 1986 No Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. You've probably heard of rare pennies before, but this one is truly special. Stick around as we dive deep into why this seemingly ordinary penny could be worth a small fortune. Let's start with the history. The Abraham Lincoln penny was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. This iconic coin, featuring the famous bust of Lincoln on the obverse, became an immediate staple in American currency. By the time we reached 1986, Lincoln pennies had been produced for over 75 years. So, at first glance, a 1986 penny might seem just like any other penny you've come across. But what makes this coin so rare? Well, it's all about that missing mint mark. The 1986 Lincoln penny, like most pennies, features Lincoln's portrait on the obverse, with the words, "In God We Trust," the year, and the motto, "Liberty." On the reverse side, you'll find the iconic image of the Lincoln Memorial. What's typical about the coin is that it's made of copper-plated zinc and weighs just 2.5 grams. But here's the kicker: the 1986 penny is supposed to have a mint mark. Normally, you'll find the mint mark, a small D for Denver or S for San Francisco, right under the date, indicating where it was struck. However, in 1986, something unusual happened. The Philadelphia Mint produced pennies without mint marks. This lack of mint mark is where the rarity lies. Normally, a penny minted in Philadelphia would have a P mint mark. However, in 1986, a small batch of Lincoln pennies were produced without any mint mark at all. This error wasn't discovered by many collectors at first, which is why the coin has remained under the radar for a long time. Now, let's talk about why this penny is worth so much. The 1986 No Mint Mark Lincoln penny is highly sought after by collectors for several reasons. It's considered a minting error, and as you know, errors make a coin much more valuable. This specific mistake is particularly rare, and as a result, some collectors are willing to pay top dollar to add it to their collection. So, what makes the 1986 No Mint Mark penny worth millions? Well, let's be clear. While it's not guaranteed to fetch that jaw-dropping price at every auction, these pennies are often valued at around $1,500 to $2,500 when in excellent condition. Some well-preserved or professionally graded examples can even fetch as high as $10,000. In fact, one of these rare pennies sold for a whopping $12,000 at auction a few years back. That's right, just for a penny that was accidentally minted without a mint mark. The rarity combined with its appeal to serious collectors is what pushes its value to the high range. So, how do you spot one of these rare 1986 No Mint Mark pennies? It's simple. You'll need to check your 1986 pennies for that missing mint mark under the date. If you find a coin without any mint mark, you might just be holding a valuable piece of history. Make sure to closely examine the condition of the penny as well. The better the condition, the higher the potential value. Coins with little to no wear and tear are the most valuable, while those with scratches or heavy damage will be worth much less. If you've learned something new about the 1986 No Mint Mark Lincoln penny today, don't forget to like this video and hit that subscribe button for more coin tips and valuable finds. And hey, check your coin collection and let us know in the comments if you found one of these rare pennies. Could you be the next lucky collector to strike it rich? 1988 No Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. This coin might look simple at first glance, but it holds a big surprise. Stick around as we break down its fascinating history, the features that make it stand out, and why this penny could be worth more than you ever imagined. Let's kick things off with a bit of history. The Lincoln penny, first issued in 1909 to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, is one of the most iconic coins in American currency. Over the decades, this penny has gone through various designs and changes, but in 1988, something strange happened. Most pennies produced in 1988 had a mint mark indicating which U.S. mint facility made them. However, the 1988 no-mint mark penny, well, it didn't. And that little detail made it one of the rarest and most sought-after pennies in existence. Unlike other years, the 1988 no-mint mark penny was produced exclusively at the Philadelphia Mint. The Philadelphia Mint, known for producing coins without mint marks for most of the 20th century, caused a bit of confusion here. You see, the regular 1988 penny should have a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco in its mint mark, but the absence of one on this particular coin led to a small error that would later become incredibly valuable. Now, let's talk about the features of the 1988 no-mint mark penny. At first glance, it's almost identical to the standard 1988 penny. You'll notice the iconic image of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side, designed by Victor David Brenner. Lincoln's portrait is centered, with the words "In God We Trust" above him, and "Liberty" and the year of mintage, 1988, engraved on the bottom. On the reverse, you'll find the classic design featuring the Lincoln Memorial, surrounded by the words "E Pluribus Unum" and "United States of America." The coin's copper composition gives it a reddish-brown hue, and when looking at it closely, you might not notice anything unusual, except for the lack of a mint mark. So, why does this small omission matter so much? The reason behind the value of the 1988 no-mint mark penny comes down to rarity and collector interest. The U.S. Mint was supposed to include mint marks on all coins produced at the various mints in 1988. But due to an oversight or possible error in the coin production process, some of the pennies from the Philadelphia Mint were released without a mint mark. This rare mistake makes the 1988 no-mint mark penny stand out among other Lincoln pennies from that year, creating a coin with a unique characteristic that collectors go wild for. While this type of error is relatively rare, it's not the first time we've seen coins from the Philadelphia Mint without a mint mark. However, the 1988 no-mint mark penny stands as one of the most famous examples of this error. And for coin collectors, a rarity like this adds a certain mystique, making it a prized find. Now let's talk about the million-dollar question: how much is the 1988 no-mint mark penny actually worth? Well, the value of this coin can vary based on its condition, but let's just say that this penny can be worth a lot more than 1 cent. In fact, in pristine, uncirculated condition, a single 1988 no-mint mark penny has been known to fetch up to $1.8 million at auctions. That's right, a penny that's worth millions. But why the huge price tag? The answer is simple: rarity. Out of the millions of pennies minted that year, only a very small number of 1988 no-mint mark pennies were ever released to the public. This makes it an incredibly rare find for any coin collector, and that rarity directly contributes to its high market value. However, if you come across one in less than perfect condition, it will still be valuable, but it won't fetch the astronomical prices like a flawless, uncirculated penny would. Even in average condition, the 1988 no-mint mark penny can be worth several hundred to a few $1,000s. So, what exactly makes this coin worth millions? It's all about rarity, collector demand, and the simple fact that the 1988 no-mint mark penny is one of those coins that was overlooked by the masses, only to become a hidden gem later on. There are only a handful of these coins in mint condition, and that scarcity drives the price sky high. And let's not forget, for most coin collectors, the thrill of the hunt is half the fun. Finding a coin like this is like striking gold, and that's why collectors are willing to pay big money for a 1988 no-mint mark penny. As the market for rare coins grows, so does the demand for pieces like this one, keeping the value steadily high. So, if you think you've found a 1988 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, it might be worth more than just a cent. Who knows? You could be holding on to a piece of history worth millions. If you enjoyed learning about this rare and valuable coin, make sure to like this video, leave a comment if you've found any rare coins, and of course, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting insights into the world of rare coins. 1991 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. In this video, we'll uncover the fascinating history behind this penny, what makes it so special, and why it's catching the eyes of collectors and investors. Stick around, because you might just have one of these sitting in your change jar. Let's start with a quick history lesson. The Abraham Lincoln penny, also known as the Lincoln cent, has been part of American currency since 1909. That's over a century of history. The coin was first issued to honor President Abraham Lincoln on his 100th birthday. It's one of the most recognized coins in the world, with its iconic image of Lincoln's face on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But not all Lincoln pennies are created equal. Some, like the 1991 no-mint mark penny, have a story that could make you a millionaire. Now, let's talk about what makes the 1991 no-mint mark penny stand out. Most coins produced in the US have a mint mark, which indicates where they were made. There are three main mints: Philadelphia, P, Denver, D, and San Francisco, S. However, in 1991, the Philadelphia Mint produced a series of Lincoln pennies without a mint mark, and that's where things get interesting. While these no-mint mark pennies are rare, they were largely overlooked for years, simply because most collectors assumed the mint mark would be present. It wasn't until later that collectors realized just how rare these coins really were. So, what should you look for when hunting for this rare penny? First off, check for the lack of a mint mark on the obverse, right under Lincoln's shoulder. If you find a 1991 penny without a mint mark, congratulations! You've got a potential treasure. But there's more to it than just the missing mint mark. Some of these pennies also exhibit subtle errors, like double strikes or off-center prints, which make them even more valuable to collectors. The more unique the coin, the more it's worth. Now, the million-dollar question: why is the 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln penny worth so much? The answer lies in its rarity. When these pennies were minted, it was an oversight. The Philadelphia Mint accidentally left off the mint mark, making it a strikingly rare error. As with any rare item, scarcity drives up value. Over time, collectors started to recognize its significance, and prices began to climb. A well-preserved 1991 no-mint mark penny can fetch anywhere from a few $1,000s to as much as $2 million or more, depending on its condition and any additional errors it may have. But there's one thing to keep in mind: condition is everything. A penny that's been in circulation for decades, scratched up, or faded won't fetch top dollar. The more pristine the penny, the higher its value. Coins graded in mint condition, such as those with a high grade of MS65 or above, are the most sought after by collectors and can command top prices at auctions. So if you find one, be sure to protect it and have it professionally graded. Finding a 1991 no-mint mark penny takes patience and a keen eye. They were produced in relatively small quantities, and many are already in the hands of collectors. Your best bet is to search through rolls of pennies from that year or check through your own loose change. But remember, it's all about luck and persistence. If you found this information valuable, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more fascinating coin stories and tips on finding rare treasures in your own pockets. Do you have a 1991 no-mint mark penny? Let us know in the comments. 1996 The Abraham Lincoln Penny. It might look like your everyday pocket change, but trust me, it's anything but ordinary. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or a beginner on the hunt for hidden gems, this penny could be the jackpot you've been searching for. Alright, let's talk about the 1996 Lincoln penny. On the surface, it seems like any other penny, but there's more to this little copper coin than meets the eye. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why this penny could be worth thousands, and in some cases, even millions of dollars. First, let's set the stage. The year 1996 was a big one for the US Mint, as they were continuing to churn out billions of pennies to meet the country's demand for coinage. The D mint mark on this penny indicates it was produced at the Denver Mint, one of the largest and most well-known mints in the United States. The 1996 penny features the iconic image of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner, and the reverse showcases the familiar Lincoln Memorial. This design has been a staple on the Lincoln cent since its debut in 1909, marking a century of rich history. Now, let's take a closer look at the features. The 1996 Lincoln penny weighs in at 2.5 grams and measures 19 millimeters in diameter. It's made primarily of copper-plated zinc, a standard for pennies produced after 1982. The design is straightforward, but this is where it gets interesting, because the rarity and value lie in the condition of the coin. Coins like the 1990 60 penny are very common when they're in circulation. But when you come across a coin in mint condition, especially one with little to no wear, that's where the value skyrockets. So, let's talk about why that's the case. The main reason the 1990 60 Lincoln penny is highly sought after by collectors is due to a rare minting error. In fact, a small percentage of 1990 60 pennies were struck with a double die reverse, meaning that the reverse of the coin features doubling in the details, particularly in the words E pluribus unum and United States of America. If you can spot doubling on these key areas, you might have one of these rare, error-struck coins in your collection. A double die reverse occurs when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly during the minting process, creating a doubled image on the coin. While the vast majority of 1990 60 pennies are unaffected, those with this minting error are extremely valuable, especially in pristine, uncirculated condition. Now, here's the million-dollar question. How much is the 1990 60 Lincoln penny worth? Well, if you're lucky enough to have one of the error coins in excellent condition, you could be looking at a value of over $10,000. And that's just for a single penny. That's right. In some cases, these rare 1990 60 pennies have sold for $20,000 or more at auctions. But even without the error, a penny in mint condition could be worth $100 or more. It's all about how well the coin has been preserved and if it shows any unique characteristics. So, how do you know if your 1990 60 penny is one of these hidden treasures? Start by examining the reverse side closely. Look for any signs of doubling, especially on the words E pluribus unum and United States of America. Use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe to really get in there. The doubling should be clear, almost like the letters are written twice. And remember, the more wear-free the coin, the higher its potential value. Why is a small penny from 1996 worth so much? It all comes down to rarity, condition, and collector demand. Minting errors like the double die reverse are incredibly rare, and when found in pristine condition, they become a highly prized item for collectors and investors alike. Coins like this don't just hold value for their historical significance. They become valuable assets, often increasing in worth over time. A rare error coin could be worth millions in the right market, making it a smart investment for collectors who know what to look for. So, do you think you might have a valuable 1990 60 Lincoln penny sitting in your collection or in your change jar? Be sure to check your coins carefully. You could have a hidden gem just waiting to be discovered. 2060 Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny coin. This might sound like just another penny, but trust me, its value is anything but small change. So stick around because you're about to discover why this coin is worth millions. Let's start with the basics. The Lincoln penny, one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history, has been in circulation since 1909, commemorating the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Over the decades, it has undergone several design changes, but by 2006, it still featured the familiar portrait of President Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner. Now, when we talk about the 2060 Mint Mark, we're referring to a penny that was minted at the Denver Mint, one of the U.S. Mint's major facilities. The D stands for Denver, where these coins were struck. You might think, what's the big deal? It's just a penny with a mint mark. But there's more to this coin than meets the eye. At first glance, the 2060 Lincoln penny may look just like any other penny from the mid-2000s. It features a portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing right, with the words "In God We Trust" and the date, 2006. On the reverse side, we see the traditional image of the Lincoln Memorial, along with the words "E pluribus unum" and United States of America. But here's where things get interesting. The 2006 penny was part of a transitional phase in U.S. coinage. While it looks like a standard copper-plated zinc penny, some of these coins have an incredibly rare, minting error or unique feature that can make them worth a lot more. Now, here's the twist. The 2060 Lincoln penny isn't just valuable because it's rare. It's valuable because of specific errors that can occur during its production. There were reports of a few 2060 pennies being struck with double dies, a minting mistake that can result in multiple images on the coin's surface. These double die errors can happen during the stamping process, and they make a coin much more desirable to collectors. Additionally, there were some coins with misalignments or imperfections in the design. But why does this make the 2060 penny worth millions? Well, errors like these are rare, and when found in excellent condition, they can fetch a hefty price at auction. So, why is the 2060 Lincoln penny worth millions? The answer lies in its rarity, particularly when you have one of these error coins in mint condition. While most 2060 pennies are worth just 1 cent, some of the error coins can sell for hundreds of thousands, or even millions of dollars at auction. A rare double die error penny from this year can sometimes fetch prices ranging from $500,000 to a staggering $1 million or more, depending on its condition and the error type. Think about that for a second. This coin, which was produced in huge numbers, could sit in your pocket or drawer for years before you even realize it's worth a fortune. That's the power of rare coin collecting. So, how do you know if you've got one of these $1 million pennies on your hands? The key is to look for noticeable errors, particularly those double die flaws. Here's how to spot them. In some double die error coins, you'll notice the letters appear doubled, giving them a blurry or ghosted effect. Sometimes, the portrait of Abraham Lincoln will show signs of doubling, particularly in the details of his hair or the outline of his face. The Pluribus Unum, or United States of America text might show doubling too. If you find one of these features, you might want to get the coin graded by a professional before jumping to conclusions. Professional grading ensures your coin's authenticity and condition, which can significantly increase its value. Why do collectors value these pennies so much? Well, rare coins with mint errors are highly sought after because they tell a story. Each error is a unique piece of U.S. history, and owning one is like holding a piece of American numismatic heritage. It's also about scarcity. There were millions of pennies minted, but very few with those rare, valuable mistakes. Collectors know that these coins have the potential for huge returns, and the demand for rare Lincoln pennies has never been higher. Plus, the Lincoln penny has such a strong connection to American culture, history, and the legacy of one of our most famous presidents. So, there you have it. The 2060 mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny coin is so much more than just a piece of change. With its potential for errors and its connection to American history, it could be worth millions. So, next time you dig through your spare change, remember, you might be holding on to something much more valuable than you think.